Next on Worcester News Tonight, public health officials hold a meeting in Worcester addressing concerns over proposed cuts at UMass Memorial Medical Center. Plus, snow is headed our way. Local businesses gearing up for another snowstorm in central Massachusetts. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Catherine Andrioli. The Department of Public Health held a public hearing tonight addressing the concerns many have over UMass Memorial Medical Center's proposal to remove 13 inpatient psychiatric beds from the 8 East unit on University campus. The hospital says they are making the changes to meet the critical need for more surgical beds, but some are concerned over these proposed cuts. Our Jennifer Zarate has more from tonight's hearing.
Hundreds attended the state's Department of Public Health hearing concerning the proposed closure of 13 psychiatric beds at UMass Memorial Medical Center's 8 East unit. Opponents like Judy Smith-Gogan, a UMass Memorial registered nurse and a member of the Massachusetts Nurses Association, has worked in psych at a UMass freestanding unit for 23 years.
We look to our sister unit, which is 8 East, to help us. We transfer the patient with medical issues that we're not able to handle because we're not in a hospital. We're not near an emergency room like 8 East is.
Smith-Gogan is pleading that the hospital not touch the beds.
We're fighting this for our patients who don't have the voice, don't have all the facts, and trying to make sure that they have the continued health care that they need.
As the only Level 1 trauma center in central Massachusetts, the university campus emergency department serves the sickest patients in the region.
We do not have a psychiatric boarding problem where most emergency departments in the state do. What we do have is a boarding problem with acutely ill medical surgical patients and critical care patients.
The hospital's leadership says that university campus faces an almost daily shortage of available beds for critically ill patients.
We know from studies that their mortality increases when they board more than 2 hours in the emergency department. And critically ill who are boarding more than 12 hours have a significantly increased mortality as a result.
According to the state's Department of Public Health, there is a 15-day timeline to issue a determination whether the 13 beds fall under essential services regulations. In the case they are not essential, UMass would have to submit a closure plan for that service. In Worcester, I'm Jennifer Zarate, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester's DPW is gearing up for another snowstorm in central Massachusetts. The city says the last snowstorm was a costly one, and they've already exceeded their budget. Worcester's DPW tells us the city spent nearly $600,000 to clean up the aftermath of the snowstorm just 2 weeks ago. Today, they are preparing for yet another storm that will move into the region Friday, lasting into Saturday. The city says they are working to pre-treat the roads and stay ahead of winter weather.
Checking all the equipment out. It's been 2 weeks since our last snow event, so we're checking sanders, salters, we're mounting plows. We're hoping that it's not a plowable event. The storm 2 weeks ago that I've referenced a couple of times was a very expensive event because it lasted the sanding, the salting, the plowing, and the need to do additional plowing 2 days later made it a very expensive event. But we're already well above budget. We're up over $6 million at this point.
And a winter parking ban is in effect for the city. Worcester Public Schools announced on Twitter they will be releasing students 2 hours early tomorrow. All afternoon and evening activities are canceled. Local businesses are also gearing up for winter weather. A local hardware store even bringing out sleds and shovels today, just when many thought winter was over. Jerry's hardware store in West Boylston says they were ready to bring out fertilizer for some spring gardeners to get an early start, but the forecast is delaying that until after the weekend snowstorm. As you can see, the shelves are stocked with some gardening supplies and other spring items, but the owner tells us they have sold a lot of ice melt and wood pellets ahead of this storm.
The wood pellet season just about over? Not in New England. No, not yet. We just keep, the wood pellet is selling really good. I'd rather sell lawn fertilizer and lime though, but we'll have to take, Mother Nature will have her, whatever she does, she does.
And Mass DOT says the snow is likely to impact the evening commute on Friday. We'll have more on the forecast later on in the newscast. Mother Nature apparently can't make up her mind. It may force many of us to put spring on hold for just a few days. With snow in the forecast, many rely on warmer weather who rely on warmer weather will have to wait a little bit longer. Brittany Schaefer has the story.
It was covered in snow up until yesterday.
A single patch of snow was left on Doherty High School's practice field Thursday, but with a storm on the way Friday, where the Highlanders practice next could be a different story.
It's our first day on our own practice field, and unfortunately it's going to snow tomorrow. It's been a long time since it snowed this late in March.
Head baseball coach Ed Whalen says his team gets better by practicing outside rather than in the gym, which is where they'll be tomorrow if there is school.
There's no space in the gym to really simulate, throws across the infield or fly balls, or even pitching.
Captain J.J. Early says he would rather have practice than a snow day.
Honestly, not very excited about the snow tomorrow because it will delay the start of the season. Fields are going to be wet. They're already pretty wet, so the snow's honestly not going to help with that.
Madulka's Ice Cream on Lake Ave are also not excited about the snow. The ice cream shop is set to open for the season Friday after postponing their original opening on St. Patrick's Day due to a snowstorm.
So we pushed the date back to what we thought would be a much warmer day, and it turns out that we're going to get another foot of snow in the beginning of April. So that's a big April Fool's joke on us.
Assistant manager Michael Madulka III says they're going to open this time and they'll make the best out of what could be an unfavorable situation.
I hate the snow. I'm ready for summer. Definitely be open, and we'll stay open as long as we can throughout the storm.
Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester's effort to ban panhandling is now costing the city about $500,000. In 2013, Worcester adopted 2 ordinances aimed at controlling aggressive panhandling, but some felt the ordinances were overboard and unconstitutional. According to the Telegram, a federal court judge ruled Wednesday the city must pay more than $519,000 in legal fees to the plaintiffs who sued them. We did reach out to the city for comment, but have not heard back. Downtown Worcester undergoing a major revitalization. City Square is the urban renewal project bringing new businesses to life in the city, but a future iconic church is still unknown. Our Desiree Wiley has more on the fate of this church.
5 churches that used to be on this common here in Worcester, the only one surviving.
Deborah Packard, the executive director of Preservation Worcester, says the future of Notre Dame des Canadiens Church is unknown.
A building like this is what makes our city unique.
Development company City Square 2 bought the church in 2010 with hopes to reuse it. With no success, last year it submitted a demolition permit that was delayed for a year. As of April 15th, the delay expires.
A third party may have be in the process of purchasing the building. We don't have any optimism as a city that that third party is purchasing it to save it.
City Square 2 released a statement that says in part, "We have made the realistic and most economically feasible choice to sell the property for the good of the continued transformation of Worcester."
I think there's a lot of developers interested in property in Worcester.
We think it would be a real draw to tourists who might want to come into the city.
Packard says Preservation Worcester has been working on redevelopment plans for a year, but wasn't able to see the inside of the church until last month.
We were not authorized to bring anybody in until February.
The company says that's not true, stating City Square has spent significant time and energy meeting with and being responsive to Preservation Worcester, first touring the property over 1 year ago in March 2016.
Every time I've been in front of that church, I've gotten the goosebumps, but in a good way. I could feel the good spirits coming out.
But it may take a miracle to save the nearly century-old church from the wrecking ball. Desiree Wiley, NECN.
More than $1.3 million is awarded to several central Massachusetts communities Thursday for their efforts to conserve energy. Charlton, Southbridge, and Northbridge were awarded grants today at Charlton Town Hall. Department of Energy Resources Commissioner Judith Judson says this grant money is used for programs to help reduce energy usage and invest in renewable energy projects. She says the Green Communities program shows how state and local governments can work together to save taxpayer money and also to promote responsible energy policies.
By saving energy, the town saves money, and that's money from their operating budget that is saved that then can be put to other uses, such as public schools or public safety. So it's a real win-win. It's a benefit for the energy, for the environment, as well as for the taxpayer.
So far, 185 communities are a part of the program. That is 64% of the Massachusetts